asked me questions last time. It was great. Thanks for joining me. Apologies, I'm a little bit late. I'm using Restream and somehow the account locked me out. There you go. So I hope I haven't made too many people waiting. So thank you for that person joining me. So hi again. I'm Renee, and so this is my LinkedIn account if you're connecting to me via LinkedIn, or otherwise Facebook. There's some people who can connect to me on Facebook, and some people who can connect to me through LinkedIn. So welcome. And last time we were talking about how I can help you help yourself. That's one way that therapists help people. Another thing I was thinking about was, I guess today, and some kind of simple little things that I might help people with is all about communication. So firstly, how to communicate well is a big thing these days. We've got our phones everywhere these days, and we seem to be forgetting about how to communicate well. We post things online, and there's this back and forth that goes on, particularly over all the things currently happening around the world, some crazy stuff going on. And we seem to forget about how to communicate well. And what the rule of thumb is, if you're going to put it in writing, generally you want to think about how you actually put it across to the other person so it can't be misconstrued. The important thing is to not attack people in writing, because it can come back at you. So it's really important to think about how you actually firstly phrase your messages online. As an online clinician, I think about how I phrase my messages. That's one thing. Probably think about it for at least a little while before you put it in writing. Generally, your first response is not the one that should be posted. So it's really think deeply and have a few breathers. Does this need to be said? How important is it? And as someone who is working online on a regular basis, it's super important to really display this kind of thing out loud, to suggest, no, this is not the case if you don't agree with someone. However, it's about less is more when we put it in writing, and make your message count rather than it becoming either vitriolic, because I keep seeing a lot of vitriolic messages. I mean, this is no judgment, because it's really important that we think about these things, because online disinhibition is a real thing. I regularly teach about that. So this is something interesting to think about. And why would a therapist know about this, and why would other people not so much? It's super important to consider that therapists often get taught how to communicate. But in addition to that, I've been lucky enough to be taught a lot about online disinhibition. And what our first response is that's our stress response. It's often our trauma response. So when we, even in writing, we need to think about what am I reacting to, and can I have a more grounded response, or a more deeply felt, heartfelt response that actually speaks what you need to speak, if it needs to be said. And so the question is it necessary? And if it is necessary to state your piece and someone's been really hurtful, often it's best to then leave the argument. So state your piece and then leave the argument, because sometimes if people are sitting in a stressful place, then it's really not ideal. So this might be an odd thing to kind of bring up on LinkedIn and Facebook, though I think this is exactly where these things go wrong. I've seen things go wrong in LinkedIn. I've seen things go wrong in Facebook. I've seen things go wrong on Twitter, on all of the different platforms. And I think, it's not just about not having judgment. It's about firstly thinking about what we say in the first place. So I noticed that, and there's no comments today, and that's cool. So that this might be just, I mean, the transforming transmission channel that I'm building is about thoughtful conversations and really thinking deeply about how do I put myself out to the world? Because just before I was just looking at some comments back and forth, and it really resonated to me to talk about this today. I know there's been a couple of people maybe leave and all that kind of jazz, but I just thought this one might be an interesting conversation to think about. So what therapists regularly do, and coaches as well, is when you're out seeking help, it's about thinking about how are you working in the world, how are you existing in the world, what are you doing with yourself in the world, and how can I put myself in better in a manner that might be more transparent, compassionate, and empathic towards my fellow travelers on earth. And I like that I've been listening to other people, like say Yalom, but also there's this new podcast that might be interesting for those of you who are therapists out there. It's called Dear Therapist, and they were talking about fellow travelers. And we've even got fellow travelers here in LinkedIn and on Facebook as well. So for me to you today is, how are you going, fellow traveler? And what is it that you need? And how are you reaching out to get help, or how are you reaching out to other people in your loved one's life and lives? So it's thinking about how are you going with that? How are you with yourself? And how are you with other people today? Today, I was a little bit slow on the uptake, and thank you for those people who've checked in. Even technology gets the better of us all. Restream, the guys who stream this, decided to lock me out of my account. Don't know how that worked, and now I'm a bit late. But anyway, so thank you for those who joined me today. A few thoughts about how online disinhibition, plays live streams that can happen too. I've seen a lot of things.